Before we start the podcast, I wanted to just pop in here and invite you to the upcoming masterclass that I'll be teaching live in September called Sales Scripts to Increase Influence. If you love the language suggestions and the way that I am phrasing things for your sales conversations in the podcast, then this masterclass is for you because it's all about language. It's all about creating scripts that are going to make a dramatic impact in your business for years to come. Now, you can find more details about the masterclass, the dates, the specific dates and times. I will share with you that these masterclasses are recorded. So if you can't make one of the live masterclasses, you get 60 days of access to the recordings so you can make up the class. One of the other huge benefits of the masterclasses when I teach them is I mail you a printed workbook that has all the techniques, all the sales scripts that I give during the live classes so that you have that workbook to refer back to. Many of my clients keep these workbooks like on their desk when they're writing their emails, when they are prepping for their sales calls, and they say they are invaluable. So most of the people say the workbook itself is worth the price of admission. So we would love to have you come be a part of it. You can find more details by going to bit.ly, so that's bit.ly/MC for masterclass sales scripts. So bit.ly/MC sales scripts. You'll find all the dates, the times, all the good stuff that's going to happen in the sales scripts to increase influence. When you click the sign me up button, I have a coupon code for you as a listener that's going to take $100 off your registration fee when you sign up right now. So if you scroll down to the bottom of the sales page, you'll see a spot that says have a coupon code. Here's your coupon code. You might want to pause this really quick and grab a pen and write it down, but it's SAVE100MC. Save 100 MC. That's going to take $100 off your registration fee. Hit the apply code, and you'll see at the bottom that there's a discount applied. That $100 discount is applied. Now, don't wait to sign up. I know it's not coming until September, but this masterclass sold out last year. We are already expecting it to sell out. We already have quite a few people registered for the masterclass. I would love to have you in there and support you as you continue to hone your own sales language and get more and more confident so that you can close more sales. So come join us, and I look forward to seeing you in there. Now let's start the podcast.
Are you ready to boost your confidence when selling so you're able to close more deals? Nikki Rausch will show you how to build a foundation of skills and a mindset that creates sales success without feeling pushy or salesy and without fear of rejection. She is a sales strategist and coach with more than 25 years of sales experience and is master certified in neuro-linguistic programming. This is a radically different approach to selling. It's a no sleaze, no slime, and no stress approach to building your business. This is Sales Maven. Here's Nikki.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to the Sales Maven Show. I'm your host, Nikki Rausch. I am your own personal sales maven. I'm here to offer you tips, techniques, and strategies to master your sales conversations. Today's episode is a sales success story with one of our brilliant Sales Maven Society members. I'm so excited for you to be introduced to Trish Williams. Trish, welcome to the show, friend.
Thank you so much. I will tell the teenagers that I raise that you use the word brilliant.
You like the word brilliant?
Well, I just think it might give me some credibility to the teens that I'm raising. I think maybe that could be a parenting move on my case. Thank you for saying it, and thank you for having me.
I feel like now we should make like a snippet of, like we can do this. I actually going to have my team do this now, is we'll do a little like audio clip for you and you can just play it for them, right? Like, here's what people say about me.
I'll make it maybe their like ringtone when I call, or their when I text them. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm totally going to do that. I have to remember. I want to write
people,
there's
value. There's value being in Nikki Sales Maven group. Value you don't even know yet.
All right. Well, I know that Jamie's going to listen to this episode. So Jamie, we need this clip that's sent just for Trish so that she can make this her ringtone for her kids. I love it.
Thank you.
Well, I'm so excited to highlight you and your business today and share some of your successes. So before we dive into some of the things that you have been doing and doing really well, let's talk about you and your business. Tell us who you are and what you do.
I can't wait. Thank you. So my name is Trish Williams. I am a proud Canadian. As you can also tell, I am a mother of an away teen, actually just 20-year-old, and a home teen. And I am trained as an occupational therapist. Many people don't know what that is. And that's a therapist akin to, in the rehab realm of physiotherapists and speech therapists. We help people live independent lives, not just in a rehab way. And I was a clinician I've been a clinician for about 27 years. I also have worked in various academic roles. And I started a private practice, a bricks and mortar pediatric therapy clinic here in Calgary, Alberta. And I kind of rolled into coaching other OT entrepreneurs on how to build their businesses in an accidental way, as so many of us do.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful that it was pre-pandemic. Because what wound up happening is I wound up closing and selling my bricks and mortar company and blowing out the OT entrepreneur coaching and consulting work that I do full time. And I am an Enneagram 2, so I'm helper, but I'm also an Enneagram 3 that loves to go and achieve. And being almost 51 and having had a pivot like this has just been the thrill of a lifetime.
I love it. And you have a podcast. What's the podcast? Yeah,
I do. I have a podcast called OTs Get Paid. So I essentially have a brand that I call Trish Williams Consulting. And my brand under that is OTs Get Paid. And that's the name of the podcast. And the reason that I landed on that title was I love to work with occupational therapy entrepreneurs who are growing and scaling their businesses. And I want to help them bring more impact, bring more clarity, and particularly bring more profit. And that's not something that therapists like to talk about a lot. It's a little taboo. And I don't mind shaking up the snow globe, as I call it, and rattling some cages. So there's a bit of a play on words there, and that I want therapists to get paid to do work that they love, as opposed to just constantly giving from the heart because we're helpers and then feel burnt out. And I also want us as a profession and as predominantly female-based profession to have worth. So it's not just getting paid dollar bills, it's finding your worth in a profession that's not as known as well and that's full of helpers.
Nothing makes me happier than the title of your podcast and your business too. This idea of, yes, it is about getting paid, and it's okay to talk about wanting to get paid and getting paid. And it's okay to, feel that self-worth and that value that money brings when you are delivering really high quality service or products to somebody. There is it's an exchange, the money piece is an exchange. It's not, evil. It's just an exchange. And when you start looking at it that way, it just makes me so happy. I'm so glad you're doing the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
And I'm just really excited for you and for the occupational therapists out there that need this, that here you are. So let's talk about different ways that you work with clients and what you're tell me a little bit about your offers and what that looks like for somebody who's out there going, I'm an occupational therapist. How would I work with somebody like Trish?
Well, in the spirit of constantly evolving and learning, offers are changing as we speak.
Yeah.
Traditionally, I have worked with clients one-to-one. That's my favorite. And what's happening behind the scenes is I'm building out a one-to-many, but let me explain. So the OTs Get Paid Trish Williams Consulting brand has one-on-one monthly coaching with me. And that is, I'm now cutting back on that because I'm constantly full. People don't leave. I keep raising the prices and they keep staying.
Well, that says what your value is right
thank
there.
Thank you. And the second thing that I have fallen in love with is doing VIP days. And I call them CEO paydays. And specifically, people come to me for the main reason of building a strategic plan. So it's like getting eyes on your business plan from a strategic point of view, and additionally having that time to sit down and just bang out the work that a lot of us avoid doing, which is actually getting the ideas out of your head onto a strategic plan. And they love the co-working space. They love having experienced eyeballs. And many of these CEOs are incredibly busy and they pay for the one and done.
Yeah.
And, I also, I'm going to have to do a little bit of a rebrand at some point. I also have leveraged the audience of another leader in our space. Her name is Laura Park Figueroa. And she and I, as therapists do, decided to collaborate a few years back and build another brand called the OT Entrepreneur Summit. I know it gets a little confusing and we'll sort it out one day. The OT Entrepreneur Summit is the leveraged program that I have that's not just under my brand.
Okay.
So we have leveraged our audiences to build the OT Entrepreneur Summit. We ran it as an online summit, not knowing how it would land. And of course, it was launched late April 2020. And we thought, what have we done in the middle of like the chaos of those few months? And people showed in droves and they loved it. We ran it again this year and people came in droves and they loved it. And the number one thing we heard is, when can we all get in a room together? And so we made the decision to listen to our audience, and we're launching our first live event, which will be spring 2022 for the OT Entrepreneur Summit Live. So what I would love the listeners to get out of this is, A, you can work with me for VIP days, CEO pay days. B, there's an OT Entrepreneur Summit that you can attend. And C, you have the ability to work in ways that serve yourself as well, have the business work for you. So the ongoing monthly coaching, which has been incredibly successful, and as I said, full, is a more challenging way for me to work while I'm doing something brand new and learning how to run a live event. So I know that the value is there for CEO paydays as well. And so I've opted to scale back on the monthly coaching and drill down on the CEO paydays and not feel that pressure of having to serve everybody while I learn how to build the OT Entrepreneur Summit. And of course, because I'm an Enneagram 3 and always need to be doing something, I am also building my own leveraged product for the OTs Get Paid brand.
Awesome.
You can see why I need a bit of a brand fresh, because it's a lot of moving pieces. But that's the somewhat long and muddy answer.
I feel like it's a good answer. I love that you are really clear about the VIP days, the CEO. What did you call it? CEOs Get Paid?
CEO payday.
CEO payday. So I love that idea of being really clear. And also, I think as our businesses evolve, it's really important to figure out, what do you have the energy, the bandwidth, what really ignites, and inspires you as the coach in those moments, and to be okay with minimizing certain areas of your business at a certain time. You can always go back and, open up more coaching spots at some point if you want to.
Exactly.
But if you know that that's the way you want to work, I think it's also the way that you deliver your best version of yourself, right? So I know in the last couple of years, I've made quite a bit of transition in my business too. And, the main focus for me is the Sales Maven Society. I have very few clients that I take on for monthly coaching clients. I mostly do strategy sessions, and I love strategy sessions.
Exactly.
They're super fun. They energize me. People get huge benefit out of them. And then there's the master classes, which I also really, really love. And those three things, I purposely don't really promote anything else, even though there's lots of other ways you can work with me. But those are like the three things, because I feel like you get the best version of me.
It's amazing when it happens, because when you're new and you're in more start or early grow, I think you still don't believe that you can work in your zone of genius. That's one of the things I talk about all the time. And you can work with ease and get paid for it and bring incredible value and transformation to your clients. So for me, the CEO payday is also on brand, because therapists aren't used to paying, I'll say, am I going to say this? Real world pricing, I guess. And so it's part of my brand. I'm the most expensive one on the block of the very few of us that there are that do this. And it's in my ascension model. Like, I have you come and find me at the summit, right? Like, the tickets won't be that expensive. I've got a free Facebook group. Come join that. Listen to the podcast. Like, there are ways. However, I think it's also on brand for me and for your brand as well, Nikki, because we're teaching people to elevate themselves. And in order to have that transference that you speak about, that energy also comes from paying a certain price. So I feel like it loops in for us in a way that works. But hang in there. If somebody's listening and they're like, it's never going to happen, Nikki and I are here to say, like, it won't necessarily happen overnight, but you'll find it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, I laugh when I think back to when I first started. I was offering these 1 and 2 hour sessions. And I don't know if I've ever even said this on the podcast, but it was,
do tell, I'm leaning
for
in.
$75, you could do a session with me, a 1 hour session. For $150, you could do a 2 hour session with me. And I look back at that and I go, well, one, that was never, ever going to be sustainable for me to run the business that I wanted to run. Like, it just didn't make sense. I should have just gone and worked at, McDonald's. And then, and then now charging $595 for a strategy session, knowing that people get huge value out of it. People pay for them all month long. I do strategy sessions. It's such a, huge transformation. So yeah, like what you said, wherever you are right now, know that things get better. We just had today, I don't know if you even saw it, but somebody who's been in the Sales Maven Society for a while, and she's been growing her sales, growing her business, and really working hard at it. She just shared today in the group that she did a substantial price raise, which is the first one that she's done. And she brought on this huge new opportunity to her business. And it's like, those are the moments I live for.
I bet. I understand that.
Oh, I love them so much. All right. Well, let's talk more about you and your successes. What prompted the idea of bringing you onto the podcast to share your success story is you had shared in the Sales Maven Society some really phenomenal, fun things. And I was like, let's talk about this because I want people to know it is absolutely possible. So I'm going to stop talking and let you talk.
So I'm going to go a bit more general and then say why I joined the Sales Maven Society first. Yeah, and then I can talk about the specific wins. So very similar to, so probably the second most taboo topic to talk about with therapists is sales. So why not just like bang it out in this podcast episode?
That's right.
So get paid and learn how to sell. And people will be like, I can't even, you're overwhelming me, Trish. I can't handle this right now because we have been taught to be helpers. And I feel like I was so thrilled when I did my Enneagram because I felt like that gave me so much cred for my ideal client, which is like, guys, I'm legitimately a helper on the Enneagram, but I also got this wing 3 that's going to keep things rolling. Yeah. And as you can tell, I'm a verbal person and I thrive on connection. And I feel very connected when I try to rattle cages around getting paid and sales, which is the whole second season of my podcast coming up in September. And so I'm looking at my own business because I work very hard at it as well. And 2 things happened at the same time. One was I was keeping track of my data, as one does, in a scorecard every week. And I was seeing that my sales conversions weren't the percentage that I wanted. So I track 12 and 13 weeks, and then I track yearly. And I saw that they were starting to go down. And, 2 years of data in some theories are not enough. And in this case, I felt like it was time to take some action because I wanted around a 60 or 70% close rate. And I was hanging in at about 30. And I thought, I need to learn more about this. And I also felt as though as a therapist, I acknowledged that I was consistently selling and not calling it selling. Every time I'm in peds, was in peds. So every time I sit in front of a parent, of course I'm selling them. I'm selling them to come back. Right? I'm selling them to like pack up their kid and take them out of school and park in the parking lot and come in and give me money and also follow through on this play work that I'm asking you to do.
Yes.
So, but yet I never, as a scientist, I never had a framework. And so I wanted to learn more. And I had heard you, I'm going to say, was it BizChecks? Were you on Natalie Ekdahl's podcast?
I have been on Natalie's podcast twice.
I think that's where I heard you first.
It's been a while.
It was a while. It wasn't, 24 hours ago.
And no, I think the last time I was on was 3 years ago.
Well, it could have been. I mean, I tend to, if I fall in love with a podcaster, I tend to scroll through, right, and see some.
Oh, okay, so you
things.
might have just heard it recently. Okay,
that's what I mean.
True.
That's what I mean.
Okay, yeah.
So, but I mean, I probably heard it about a year ago, quite frankly. And this is interesting in terms of sales because I didn't buy anything from you for a year.
Yeah, you
were always in the back of my mind, and if you have a good strategic plan, I knew I didn't need to act on it right away. It was going to be something that I want. I had a sales goal, a goal to figure out how to increase my sales conversions rate for probably a few quarters ahead. Mm-hmm. And you just kept nurturing me and I kept listening to your podcast. And finally I was like, now is the time to join the Sales Maven Society. And then because I also am an educator to the people in my space, it behooves me to continue to be in the Sales Maven Society because I am consistently and consistently going back to your content. Perfect. So, and again, with season 2 of my podcast, there will be plenty of times where I dive in deeper to your content and say, hey, here's what I learned in the Sales Maven Society, OTs. So at any rate, backing up into then what my particular goal was. So I'm going to pull, you might hear a rattle of paper. I'm going to pull the original Facebook post that I sent. I love micro goals. Again, I'm a scientist. We set goals for our clients and we need to learn how to set goals for ourselves. I had set 2 goals for myself, micro goals for myself, which is to listen for buying signals and to give out more offers to work with me. Really subtle things. Mm-hmm. And I thought, I can do that. All I have to do is set a few micro goals and try. I think the other thing is being an Enneagram 3, I'm such an achiever that sometimes I can go full hog. And I thought maybe half hog here will be good enough because I didn't want to put myself into overwhelm, right? Like I actually wanted to try it out. Yeah. So what happened was I had 2 back-to-back discovery calls on one day. And I had been practicing these for the discovery calls for a few weeks. Again, listen for buying signals and give more offers. So the first person that called me, I followed more of your formal selling staircase, which if people don't know about, can find it because it's excellent. But I was kind of doing that more intuitively. Like I was leading people. I'm good at asking questions. I'm good at creating curiosity. I'm really good at trying to find out what they want and need. Mm-hmm. But I wasn't doing a good job in terms of closing the sales by asking for that work. Mm-hmm. And so additionally, discovery calls were taking me an hour. Don't tell anybody I said that. That's insider
so I'm going to interject here right now. And I will say that my goal when I work with a client is to have them identify within about 20 minutes on a discovery call, whether or not this is an ideal client or not, so that you can wrap that call up by 30 minutes.
Totally.
If they're not going to buy. Or 100%. If you don't want them. So I love that you're being honest, that you're at an hour mark.
I will open my business time to show what not to do. So this particular win also came in that I was issuing close language and invitation language, like based on what we've discussed. I know I could really help you with these issues and get you to, where she wants to go. I'd love to work with you. Yeah. And I wonder if you'd like to move forward by planning our next steps. And she said yes. And I had to just raise my prices again. And I did that in 21 minutes.
Yes. 21 minutes. You close that sale. It can be done. Even people who tell me, no, Nikki, it can't. It can absolutely be done. So congrats. I love it.
Thank
21 minutes. Close the sale.
So then, and this is true in the podcast, or pardon me, in the Facebook post, I pressed enter and said, I really just wanted to also say thank you because I just thought that was a fun story. And then as you can see, I have put giant capitals, edited 2 hours later to add, I just closed another discovery call for a sale. And this time it was about listening to buying signals. And maybe I could have eventually learned how to do discovery calls quicker and learn how to close faster, but it wouldn't have happened without your knowledge in the time that it did. But I could have never picked up on the buying signals of this person who called me. When I say that she truly booked time on my calendar, and this is somebody, here's the other thing, this is somebody that I know. And I didn't ask ahead of time. I would do that now. I would send them a little DM. Hey, what's this all about?
Mm-hmm.
But before I was like, oh, there she is on my calendar. Okay. And I thought maybe it was a catch-up call. Maybe she had something she wanted to sell me. Maybe it was a pick your brain. Do I let her pick my brain because I know her? All these things. And she was talking and talking and talking in circles. And I truly went out of myself with my third year, right? That's what we call it as a therapist, but also for learning sales, I think. And she kept repeating and repeating and repeating the same thing over and over. And that's when I went to my trusty notes. I showed them to Nikki ahead of time on Zoom. They are some printouts from Nikki covered in my chicken scratch. And there legitimately is a place where you say, in buying signals, they repeat the same question over and over. And then I went, ding. There was a Nikki light bulb moment.
Yay.
And so I said to her, where's the exact question? I said, are these work challenges something you'd like to talk to me about today? And she went, yes. So then my friend hired me. And so then I go back on the Facebook post and was like, so I just closed 6K in sales today. One of them in 21 minutes and the other a little longer, but I needed a time for the light bulb to go off. And I couldn't have done it without you. So thank you.
Well, you're so welcome. And the reason I really did want to bring you on and highlight this success story is, one, you had these goals that you had set, right? Like get better at closing, like make more offers, recognize buying signals, which these two examples are exactly what you did. You implemented, you had notes in front of you. So the fact that you had these notes in front of you to look and go, she keeps repeating this, like, oh, ding, this is a buying signal. Best case scenario here is I'm going to issue an invitation and she says yes. And now I have a new client and she's going to get amazing results because you issued that invitation. So that's the thing that is super, super exciting. I love to work with implementers. I love that you shared in the group, like, okay, so I set these goals. I did this. This is what happened. $6,000, in a day. For most of us, $6,000 in a day is a pretty good payday.
It was a great day.
It's a good payday for most of us. So I think it's phenomenal. Congratulations. You are such a great implementer. And I just, cannot stress enough how important these two things are, that like what these two goals were that you set. Being able to recognize buying signals is if you don't know what they are, if you don't know how to act on them when you get them, you are leaving money on the table.
100%.
And more importantly, you leave people feeling unsatisfied. Like she might have gotten off that call with you going like, I'm not any closer to where I want to be. And yeah, it was nice to catch up with Trish, but what am I going to do now?
Thank you so much for saying that, because I'm like, people can't see me, but I'm literally pointing to Nikki through Zoom like, yes. Because again, I want to highlight, like, therapists are a resilient and touchy bunch. And like, if you take the wrong tone, they will call you out on it. Yeah. And there was nothing wrong with my tone. So I think, guys, if you can sell to a therapist as a therapist, you can sell to anybody. And what I mean by that is like, I truly didn't know. I really, to my toes, didn't know that she wanted my help.
Yeah.
And she couldn't come up with the words. It was like, I could act as a translator for her. And if she had said, no, I just want to tell you how things are going with my kids in lockdown, I'd be like, great, how are things? Like, I truly didn't, like, there was no harm, no foul. Yeah. And yet we left both of us feeling excited and empowered. And again, sales, I always say to my people, sales is a conversation. And sales is about helping. And like, we don't sell widgets. Like, we sell transformation. And easy, like, people lead with a pain point with me. That's easy. And especially with like pediatric kids, I was used to people leading with pain points constantly. So I truly don't feel as though I have to convince anybody to ever buy, because there are real pain points here that we can solve. And it was just easy. And I felt like I was actually very helpful. And she felt extra like relief and safety that somebody had translated her word salad.
Yeah. That's another really great point, is that oftentimes prospective clients, they're stuck in some area, right?
Totally, Nikki.
And because they're stuck, they don't even know how to articulate, help me, get me unstuck. And your job is to be the one to guide, to listen, to ask questions, to issue invitations, so that they can, in the process of their own mind, start to organize their thoughts and then articulate what it is that they want. And that happens when you pose questions back to them that they don't even know how to pose to themselves, right? Like,
brilliantly said.
Oftentimes people can't even say, I would like to work with Trish because I know she knows something that's going to help me. I feel stuck. Their brain doesn't know how to like get there, but by you saying it so beautifully, so with so much kindness and with that servant's heart showing up, that allows for her to go, yes, that is what I absolutely need and want. I actually really love when I'm working with a prospective client or even with a client, and I'll offer them something, right? It could either be through a question or it'll be through me backtracking them or whatever we're doing. And they'll have this big body response, which is a yes. And it's like, finally, you got me. I get myself now. Like, when you can do that for somebody, one, I will say for me personally, I find it super validating, but for them, it feels so good to be around people who get you.
Yeah, they
who
feel
can help you.
They feel heard. And that's all most of us want anyway. So
yes.
And amazing.
Amen.
Isn't this amazing that this conversation, this empowering, heartfelt conversation is coming from sales? Like, I still think that is like, I don't think it's incongruous anymore, but I still think that's really powerful.
Of course, I love that because that's how I felt for many, many years. That's why I do what I do, right?
Bringing it to the people.
I teach what I teach and want people to feel super empowered in these conversations. And, you know, I was having a conversation on somebody else's podcast. I don't know by the time this airs if it will have aired, but I was having a conversation with Shane Sams on his podcast called the Shane Sams podcast. I don't know why I have a hard time saying that, but the Shane Sams podcast, having this conversation with him, and we were talking about impact and why I do what I do, which is to make an impact. And because I know that the things that I teach, that clients that will go and implement, it allows for them to make an impact. And you just made such an impact in her life because you went, ding, buying signal. I'm going to issue an invitation here and see what happens. Like, nothing.
You created a ripple effect. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for acting on it. Thank you for coming and sharing your success on the podcast. It's so fun to have you in the group, to get to see you soar, for you to have this podcast, for you to be making a difference and really talking candidly for OTs to be thinking about getting paid. I love it.
Thank you.
All right. So as we wrap up today, I always end with 2 questions for you. So the first one is, what's one benefit that you're finding from being in the Sales Maven Society?
I love to see my preconceived beliefs being knocked down.
It just gave me chills.
Good. I love to see people that are selling more traditional products, because let's face it, I've convinced myself, and I think part of it is true, that therapists are special snowflakes and nobody gets our business, and we can't, consume content out there that's meant for everybody else because nobody gets us because we're special snowflakes. And I think part of that really is true, but there's something about not only learning about sales and embracing that word, but then seeing how many people from really what I would consider more traditional spaces of business resonate with your heart-centered servant content. And that makes it far more accessible for me, and it makes me really happy, and it challenges my, notions, and that excites me no end because I'm constantly trying to better myself. And then I think about how I can share all of this content with so many therapists that I know share my brain as well. And so we can start to tear down those walls. So that's my favorite thing.
Oh, that's a great answer. Thank you for saying that. I do think that, a lot of the different clients that I work with in the different industries, I think a lot of people see themselves as like, we're special. Here's why.
Good.
And it is true. You are special, and here's why. And
not a but. And
I always say, if you are having conversations with another person in order to earn their business, this content is for you. 100%. It will resonate with you, and it will resonate with your clients, because people sell to people.
People buy from people.
And people buy from people.
Exactly.
Yes, you so get this. All right. And then here's the last question for you today, which is, how can people get a hold of you? How can people check you out and learn more about what you're doing?
Well, I would love to invite podcast listeners of Nikki's podcast to listen to mine, the OTs Get Paid podcast. Spotify, Apple, Android, you can find it, with Trish Williams. And I have to say, I love doing the podcast almost more than anything I do right now. I actually found one of my baby books from the 70s. And from about grade 2 to grade 6, I kept writing that I wanted to be a lawyer or a DJ. And I did not become a lawyer. But I kind of you plug in a mic and you can be a DJ, people. So I think by DJ I actually meant radio host or something. I didn't have the words for it.
Well, they used to call radio hosts DJs.
Yeah. It's from 1975.
That's a common term. Yeah.
Yeah. And so thank you. And so I honestly, it really hit me like a ton of bricks when I got my equipment in Amazon, and I was plugging it in, and I was like, wait a second, I legitimately have a show. They always say it, podcasting is opening to the masses, but it is kind of mind blowing. And honestly, it is resonating a ton with my audience, and we have a similar tone. We dive into transparency, and we dive into being real, and we dive into having thought-provoking conversations, and it's all about abundance and sharing everyone else's wins. So I actually have, I just thought of something I could say that's very self-promotional, but it is true. I actually had a friend call me, and she is an interior designer, and I have a speech therapist and massage therapist that are also following me. And they said, could you just please call this podcast service-based, women-based businesses get paid? And I said, maybe season 3. So we talk a lot about the value and worth, and how you can take your, accidental small-based business that's service-oriented, where you identify, you have to remember, therapists identify as technicians. We are therapists. We don't think like business people, just like my neighbor is a designer.
Yes.
Just like one of my clients is a massage therapist. That's the beauty behind this, is we all, and what does Michael Gerber say in the E-Myth? 75% of small business owners are technicians, like the cobbler and the pie baker and the guy that fixes your bike. And that identity is strong, especially in our profession, where you need a master's or a doctorate. We're educated up.
Yeah,
and so
for sure.
To take it a step further, to then say, but you're also a business person, that transition can be really tough. So that's kind of an underlying theme where people are really enjoying the podcast as well.
I'm so glad. And sometimes that is the beauty, frankly, of niching and being really clear onto who your ideal client is. It isn't to eliminate everybody else, but what it does helps people's brains associate and go, well, I'm not an actual OT, but there's something in here for me that resonates. It's just like I always say, my focus is working with women, and I have plenty of men clients.
I've seen them.
And I love working with men too. I love working with women. My business focus is on working with women, and we have men in the Sales Maven Society. I have private coaching clients that are men, and that's it. Maybe it keeps some people away, but the people who really resonate with my message, they're like, I'm in. It doesn't matter
That's what they've done. Yeah, that's actually
yeah.
what they've done.
Yeah. So I love that. Okay. All right. So as we wrap up today, if you've been listening to the podcast, you know that 2021 is the year of the question, because I'm all about conversation. I think Trish actually said this, like her and I are in agreement that sales is about conversation. So in order to have conversation, you have to have questions. So I'm going to give you another question to put in your toolkit for you today. This week's question is, how are we doing so far? This is a question that has no context to it, and it's very specific that it has no context because it allows for the person who hears the question to add their own context. And if you're not asking this in your client calls or even when you're talking to prospective clients, you might be missing out on some really great insight that they will share. And if you're loving these questions, I am doing trainings on them inside the Sales Maven Society. I actually just put in the group recently the actual list of every question. So there's like a printout that you can get now. And to get this, come join the Sales Maven Society. This is where you get to hang out with Trish and other really amazing entrepreneurs. Get to hang out with me. You bring your questions and concerns. I'll provide answers and guidance to boost your confidence in your sales situations. You can join the Sales Maven Society right now by going to salesmavensociety.com. This is normally $147 a month. You can use this coupon code I'm about to give you, and it'll take $100 off your first month. You can come for $47. Check it out. See if it's the way for you. I think this is how you came in. Is this right,
That's
Trish?
exactly how I came in.
You came in on this. Okay.
It was a great objection. Like, you overcame any price objection I had with I can spend $47 on a bottle of wine. I'll sign up for that. And did so. And then happily, when I saw the price come in at one night, $47 the next month, I was like, heck yeah, it's worth $147.
There you go. Thank you. I couldn't have asked for a better testimony
welcome.
right there. All right. So here's the coupon code. If you type in, when you go to the salesmavensociety.com, you'll see a place to put the coupon code. It's 47 trial. That's number 4, number 7, and TRIAL. All one word, 47 trial. It'll knock that $100 off. Come join us, hang out, see if this is the place for you. Hey, if nothing else, you're going to get the list of questions. You're going to get access to the buying signals content and so much more. We would love to have you in there. Thank you so much for listening. If we haven't connected yet on social media, let's do that. I tend to hang out on LinkedIn and Instagram. You can find me under Nikki Rausch or Sales Maven. So I would love to connect and hear from you as a listener. What has been your thing that resonated from this episode or any episode? Have a great day. Thanks for listening. Take care.
Thanks for listening to Sales Maven. Visit us online at yoursalesmaven.com/maven for more resources to boost your confidence and skills.